real estate agent's biases lead to an uncomfortable encounter when she questions a black woman's qualifications to buy a luxury home. What will happen when the truth about Rachel's status comes to light? Stick around to uncover this eye-opening story. Let us know where you're watching from, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories that spark meaningful discussions. Ma'am, we have some lovely homes in the Meadows district. Very affordable and perfect for first-time buyers, Linda Morris said, her voice dripping with polite condescension. Her perfectly manicured hand hovered over a glossy pamphlet featuring modest suburban homes. Rachel Carter tilted her head slightly, her dark brown eyes narrowing just enough to signal the insult wasn't lost on her. "Thank you, but I'm actually interested in something a little more upscale, specifically the property on Blue Willow Court." She reached into her leather tote bag, pulling out a neatly organized folder. "Here's my pre-approval letter and financial documents. Everything you need to proceed." The folder landed on the desk between them with a quiet thud. Rachel sat back, her tailored blazer pristine, her demeanor calm. She was used to this, the polite skepticism, the lingering glances. At 35, she had fought hard to build her life into what it was, a six-figure career in marketing, multiple investment properties, and a solid reputation. She didn't need anyone's validation. Still, it grated every time she had to prove she belonged. Linda hesitated, her bright red lips twitching into an awkward smile. "Blue Willow Court," she repeated, feigning surprise. "You're interested in one of those properties?" "Yes," Rachel replied, her voice steady. "The one listed at $1.2 million. Linda's polished mask slipped for a fraction of a second, but Rachel caught it. A flicker of doubt crossed the agent's face before she quickly recovered. "Oh? Well, that's certainly a beautiful area. High demand, you know. Mostly corporate executives, doctors, lawyers." "And marketing executives," Rachel interjected, her tone unwavering. "Like me." Linda cleared her throat and flipped open the folder. As her eyes scanned the documents, Rachel noticed the subtle change in her posture, the slight tightening of her shoulders, the way her gaze lingered a moment too long on the numbers. It was the same routine Rachel had seen before, people looking for something, anything, to discredit her. "These numbers look impressive," Lyndon finally said, though her tone lacked conviction. "But you know, pre-approvals aren't always guarantees. The underwriting process can be tricky, especially with homes in this price range." Rachel resisted the urge to sigh. "I'm well aware of how the process works. This isn't my first purchase." Linda's smile grew tighter. Of course. I just want to make sure we're setting realistic expectations. I'd hate for you to fall in love with a property only—" "Linda," Rachel interrupted, her tone sharpening just enough to command attention. "I am not here for a lecture on financial responsibility. I've done my research. I've spoken with my lender. All I need is an agent who's ready to work with me." The room fell into an uneasy silence. Across the desk, Linda's carefully curated professional demeanor was starting to crack. Her eyes darted to the clock on the wall, as if she were calculating how much longer she'd need to tolerate this conversation. "Well," Linda said after a pause, her voice slightly cooler now, "I suppose we can move forward, but I'll need to verify these numbers with your bank before we proceed. Just a formality, of course." Rachel leaned forward, folding her hands on the desk. "By all means, verify away." Linda forced a tight smile and reached for the phone on her desk. As she dialed, Rachel sat back and crossed her legs, exuding a quiet confidence that seemed to unsettle the agent further. She could hear the faint hum of the hold music on the other end of the line, punctuated by Linda's increasingly nervous tapping on the desk. "Ah, yes, this is Linda Morris with Platinum Properties," Linda said, her voice adopting a syrupy sweet tone as someone finally picked up. "I'm calling to confirm details for a prospective buyer, Rachel Carter." "Yes, she's here with me now." "Uh-huh. Pre-approval for $1.5 million? Really?" The faint hum of the hold music cut off as the voice on the other end of the line continued speaking. Rachel watched Linda's expression shift in real time, from doubt to confusion to something that almost looked like panic. The tapping stopped. Her back stiffened. "I see," Linda stammered, her voice faltering for the first time. "Preferred client status? A direct line to the senior lending officer?" Rachel didn't bother hiding her smirk. She had worked hard to earn that status. Years of meticulous financial planning, strategic investments, and relentless work ethic had brought her here. And now, watching Linda struggle to reconcile her assumptions with reality was, admittedly, satisfying. Linda nodded into the phone, her hand gripping the receiver tightly. "Yes, I'll let her know. Thank you." The agent placed the phone back in its cradle with exaggerated care, as if handling something fragile. For a moment she simply sat there, staring at the desk, her carefully constructed world of assumptions crumbling beneath her. "Well, Ms. Carter," Linda said finally, her voice strained but overly polite, "it seems everything checks out." Rachel raised an eyebrow. "Was there ever any doubt?" "Oh, no," Linda said quickly, her face flushing. "It's just unusual to have everything so perfectly in order. I see a lot of clients, you understand, and not everyone is as prepared as you." "Ha! Sure," Rachel replied, her tone making it clear she wasn't buying the excuse. Linda shifted uncomfortably in her seat, clearly trying to recover some semblance of authority. "Well, if you'd like, we can schedule a tour of the Blue Willow property for this weekend. I'm sure you'll love it." Rachel stood, gathering her documents with deliberate precision. "I already know I'll love it. That's why I'm buying it." The agent blinked, caught off guard by Rachel's assertiveness. "Oh, well, that's wonderful. I'll make sure everything is ready for your visit." Rachel paused, locking eyes with Linda. "One more thing. In the future, I'd appreciate it if you didn't make assumptions about what I can or can't afford. It's not a good look for someone in your position." Linda opened her mouth to respond, but seemed to think better of it. Instead, she simply nodded, her expression a mixture of embarrassment and forced professionalism. With that, Rachel turned and walked out of the office, her heels clicking sharply against the polished floor. Outside, the late afternoon sun reflected off the glass doors as she stepped onto the sidewalk. She took a deep breath, letting the tension of the encounter melt away. She wasn't just buying a house, she was claiming the space she'd worked so hard to deserve. And no one, not even a condescending real estate agent, was going to take that away from her. The tension in Rachel's chest had begun to ease by the time she parked in front of her current townhouse. It was modest compared to the mansion on Blue Willow Court, but it represented the first major milestone she'd achieved in her career. Now, the thought of leveling up felt empowering, like a declaration that she had earned her place among the elite. Her phone buzzed as she stepped out of the car. It was a text from her best friend, Monica, who had been cheering her on throughout the home buying process. "Monica, how'd it go? Did she choke when she saw your numbers?" Rachel chuckled, shaking her head as she typed a reply. "Rachel, you could say that." She nearly swallowed her tongue when the bank confirmed, "I'm preferred status." She immediately told Samuel the story of preferred status. "Monica, LOL, that's my girl. Don't let anyone play with you." Rachel smiled, pocketing her phone as she walked into her townhouse. Monica was right, of course. No one could diminish what she'd built. But even as she reassured herself, a small voice nagged at the back of her mind. She had dealt with bias her whole life, but why did it still have the power to needle her, even in moments of triumph? She shook off the thought and focused on her next steps. If she was going to finalize her offer on the Blue Willow house, she needed to be prepared. Rachel spent the next 2 hours researching the property in detail. She reviewed the inspection reports, checked comparable sales in the area, and made notes for her meeting with Linda on Saturday. By the time she finished, she felt confident, untouchable even. Saturday arrived with a crisp morning breeze. Rachel dressed in her favorite power outfit, a white blouse tucked into tailored black slacks, paired with sleek low heels. Her makeup was minimal but polished, and her curls were styled into a perfect halo. When she looked in the mirror, she saw a woman who belonged. When she pulled into the driveway of the Blue Willow property, Linda was already there, waiting by the front door. The agent greeted her with a wide, slightly strained smile. "Good morning, Ms. Carter. You're looking lovely today." Rachel returned the smile, noting the subtle nervousness in Linda's tone. "Good morning, Linda. I'm excited to see the property in person." As they stepped inside, Rachel couldn't help but marvel at the sheer elegance of the home. High ceilings stretched above a grand entryway where natural light poured in through oversized windows. The kitchen was a chef's dream, with marble countertops, stainless steel appliances, and an island large enough to host a feast. Every detail, from the crown molding to the hardwood floors, spoke of luxury. Linda launched into her rehearsed sales pitch. "This property has been on the market for just 3 weeks, but we've already had several interested buyers. The neighborhood is known for its excellent schools and tight-knit community, perfect for families and professionals alike." Rachel nodded politely, though her attention was already on the potential. She imagined herself hosting friends for wine nights in the spacious living room or sipping coffee on the sun-drenched patio overlooking the manicured garden. This was more than a house. It was a statement. They moved upstairs, where Linda highlighted the master suite with its spa-like bathroom and walk-in closet. "I can see you enjoying this space," Linda said with a smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. "Very fitting for someone in your position." Rachel arched an eyebrow. "And what position is that, Linda?" Linda faltered, her cheeks flushing. "Oh, I just meant, well, with your career and everything, you must be very busy." Rachel let the comment slide, choosing to focus on the property. "I'll take it," she said decisively as they descended the stairs. "Let's move forward with the offer." Linda hesitated. "Of course, I'll draft the paperwork right away, but you know, in this price range it's not uncommon for offers to fall through. I'm sure you understand." Rachel stopped in her tracks, fixing Linda with a pointed stare. "Linda, is there something you're trying to say?" The agent's smile wavered. No. I just meant that the process can be unpredictable." Rachel's voice was cool but firm. "The only unpredictable thing here is whether this conversation will end up as a cautionary tale in a Yelp review. Now, if you're finished questioning my ability to close, let's get this deal done." Linda's face reddened, and she quickly fumbled for her tablet to begin the paperwork. Rachel stood tall, her confidence unwavering as she signed the initial forms. 2 days later, Rachel received a call from Linda. "Hi, Miss Carter," the agent began, her tone overly cheerful. "Good news, your offer has been accepted." Rachel smiled. "That's great to hear. I assume the sellers were satisfied with my financials?" Linda's laugh was nervous. "Oh yes, everything is perfectly in order. I'll email you the next steps." As Rachel hung up, she felt a wave of relief and satisfaction, but the encounter left a bitter aftertaste. Even now, as a buyer with flawless credentials, she'd had to work twice as hard to earn the same respect her white peers would have been given without question. Her phone buzzed again. This time it was a call from her bank. She answered, her tone warm. "Hello, this is Rachel Carter." "Mrs. Carter, this is Janet from Meridian Bank," the woman on the other end said. "I just wanted to let you know we received a glowing report from the seller's agent about your professionalism. She even mentioned how impressed she was by your preparedness." Rachel blinked, caught off guard. "That's unexpected." The banker chuckled. "You'd be surprised how often these things get back to us. We just wanted to let you know that if there's anything else we can do to make this process smoother, you only need to ask." Rachel smiled. "Thank you, Janet. That means a lot." As the call ended, Rachel sat back and exhaled. The journey wasn't over, but she had claimed her space in a world that often tried to exclude her. Now it was time to finalize her dream and make that house her home. Rachel arrived at Blue Willow Court a week later, the keys to her new home glinting in her hand like a hard-won trophy. The crisp autumn air carried the faint scent of freshly cut grass, and the sound of laughter drifted from nearby homes. Families were out enjoying the day, their kids riding bikes up and down the pristine sidewalks. It was exactly the community she had envisioned for herself, a place where she could thrive and truly feel at home. As she approached the front door, she paused to take it all in. The house stood like a beacon of possibility, its clean white exterior and black shutters exuding timeless elegance. The moment felt surreal. Despite everything, she was here, and the house was hers. Inside, the house felt even more expansive now that it was empty. Rachel wandered through the rooms, imagining how she would make the space her own. A sleek sectional for the living room, bright abstract art to liven up the neutral walls, a cozy reading nook by the bay window in the master suite. Every decision felt like a declaration of her worth, a rejection of anyone who ever doubted her. Her thoughts were interrupted by a knock at the door. Rachel frowned, glancing at her watch. She wasn't expecting anyone. When she opened the door, she was met with the nervous smile of Linda Morris. "Oh, hi," Linda said, clutching a gift basket with both hands. The wicker basket was filled with an assortment of gourmet treats, bottles of wine, artisanal cheeses, and chocolates. A card was perched on top, adorned with the platinum prop. "Linda," Rachel said evenly, stepping aside to let the agent in, "this is unexpected." "I just wanted to stop by and congratulate you," Linda said, her smile a little too wide. "It's customary for us to deliver a housewarming gift to our clients, especially for a property as prestigious as this one." Rachel arched an eyebrow but accepted the basket, setting it down on the kitchen island. "Thank you, that's very thoughtful." Linda lingered awkwardly, her hands twisting the strap of her handbag. "I also wanted to say, I hope you didn't take anything I said earlier the wrong way." Rachel's lips twitched into a small, humorless smile. "The wrong way? Well?" Linda stammered, her cheeks flushing. "I mean, if I came off as skeptical during the process, it wasn't personal. It's just, in this market, we have to be cautious, you know." Rachel leaned against the counter, her arms crossed. "Cautious, huh? Is that what you call questioning my financial standing after I handed you a pre-approval letter?" Linda's face went pale. "I didn't mean it like that." "Let me save you some trouble, Linda," Rachel said, her tone sharp but measured. "I've dealt with people like you my whole life. You see someone who doesn't fit your narrow idea of what success looks like, and suddenly they're not good enough. You didn't doubt my numbers. You doubted me." Linda opened her mouth to respond, but Rachel wasn't finished. "I came to you as a serious buyer, with everything in order, and still you made me jump through hoops that I guarantee you wouldn't have imposed on someone else. So no, I didn't take it the wrong way. I took it exactly how it was meant." The room fell silent. For a moment, Linda seemed to shrink under Rachel's gaze. Then she sighed, her shoulders slumping. "You're right," she admitted softly. "I was wrong to judge you, and I'm sorry. I've been in this business for years, and sometimes I make assumptions I shouldn't." Rachel's expression softened, but only slightly. "Apology accepted," she said after a pause. "But let me give you some advice. In this business, you're going to meet clients from all walks of life. If you want to keep being successful, you'll need to check those assumptions at the door." Linda nodded, looking genuinely chastened. "You're absolutely right. Thank you for saying that." After Linda left, Rachel spent the rest of the afternoon unpacking. Each box she emptied felt like another layer of herself being fully planted in this new chapter of her life. As evening fell, she stood on the back patio, sipping a glass of wine from the gift basket. The stars were beginning to peek through the fading daylight, and the world around her was quiet and still. Her phone buzzed, and she smiled when she saw Monica's name on the screen. "Hey girl," Rachel said, putting her glass down. "I saw your Instagram post," Monica said, her voice filled with excitement. "That house is stunning. How does it feel?" "Like I've arrived," Rachel said, grinning. "But seriously, it feels amazing. It's everything I dreamed it would be." "I knew you'd get there," Monica said. "You deserve it." Rachel's smile faltered for a moment. "You know, it's funny. Even after all the work I put in, I still had to fight for it. People like Linda Morris don't make it easy." Monica was silent for a moment. "Well, you proved her wrong, and honestly, you're probably the reason she'll think twice next time she meets someone like you." Rachel nodded, her heart swelling at the thought. "You're right. Maybe this wasn't just about me. Maybe it was about opening the door for the next person." "Exactly," Monica said. "You didn't just buy a house, you made a statement." The following week, Rachel decided to share her story in a personal essay for a popular online magazine, titled "More Than Qualified: A Black Woman's Journey to Buying Her Dream Home." The piece recounted her experience with Linda Morris, the subtle biases she faced, and the triumph of breaking through them. It was raw, honest, and unapologetic. The article went viral within days. Comments flooded in from readers who shared similar experiences, offering words of support and solidarity. Rachel was overwhelmed by the response but also deeply moved. Her story had become a catalyst for a much-needed conversation about race, privilege, and assumptions in the real estate industry. 1 month later, Rachel hosted her first housewarming party. Friends and family filled the home, their laughter and joy bouncing off the walls. Monica, as always, was by her side, helping serve drinks and keeping the music going. "Rachel, this place is incredible," Monica said, gesturing to the sprawling living room. "You've outdone yourself." "Thanks," Rachel said, smiling. "But it's not just about the house. It's about what it represents." Monica raised her glass. "To breaking barriers." "To breaking barriers," Rachel echoed, clinking her glass against Monica's. As the night went on, Rachel found herself standing on the patio again, gazing out at the starlit garden. She thought about the journey that had brought her here, the obstacles she had overcome, and the legacy she was building, not just for herself, but for everyone who came after her. Her heart swelled with pride and hope. This was her home, and no one could take that away from her.